Okay everyone, last day we talked about expressions. Today we're going to talk about equations, and specifically we're going to talk about how to start solving equations. We're going to do some one-step equations today, and it'll get more difficult as we go on. So first of all, maybe I should mention what algebra is. I probably should have done this last day. Story's a bit messy here. I've had to cram in some stuff I forgot. So algebra is when letters are used to represent unknown numbers. We talked about this last time, right? When you use the letter M, or N, or P, or W, or whatever, you're representing a number which you don't know at this time. So last time we looked at expressions, things like 4W, or 2M plus 3, or N over 6 minus 8, right? These are three different expressions here. So today what we're going to look at is equations. Equations are statements that two expressions are equal. So if we said, for example, that we took this expression 4W and we said that it was equal to 12. Okay, well that would now be an equation. We have two expressions. 12 is a very simple expression, but it is an expression. 4W equals 12 is an equation, and we could solve that. There's only one number that works in this W. You know what it is? 3. 4 times 3 is 12. There you go. Okay, so when I talk about solving equations, what I'm talking about is that exactly what we did there. Figuring out what's the W letter. What number has to go right there. Okay, that's solving equations. Finding the number that satisfies, that's a true math word there, satisfies. Find the number that satisfies the conditions given by the equation. So the goal for whenever you're solving equations, the goal, what you're trying to do is to isolate the variable. Okay, isolate the variable. What's that mean? Well, variable, remember, is just another word for letter. We talked about that last day. The letters are called variables. And isolate. What's it mean if I isolate a couple of students? It means I put them by themselves. So we want to get the letter by itself. In other words, we want to get the letter by itself on one side of the equal sign. Because when we get the letter on one side all by itself, it will then tell us what the variable is equal to. Once I get it looking like something like x equals 4 plus 3, oh, well, if x equals 4 plus 3, 4 plus 3 is 7, I'm done. Once I get the letter all by itself on one side and a single number by itself on the other side, I'm done. This is the goal, get the letter by itself. Okay, now we need some rules to do it. There's basically two main rules to start. There's a few more we'll get in the future, but if you remember these two, this will get you a long way. The first rule is, do the opposite operation. What am I talking about operations? Do you remember? We talked about this last time. Opposite operations are add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Those are the only ones you have to worry about this year for solving equations. So what do you think the opposite of adding is? The opposite of adding is subtracting. Add and subtract are opposite. Multiply and divide are opposite. So we'll see what I'm talking about in a second. The second thing is, the second rule, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So this is why I have this balance up here, because you have to keep the equation balanced, right? In class I'll probably use a fake balance or something, and I'll actually put some blocks on one side, marbles on the other, and we'll talk about removing things. It's a bit awkward to do in the video, so I'm not going to do that here. So those are our two rules and our goal. Those three things will get us to the finish line here. So first question, we want to know what number goes in here so that satisfies this equation, that makes it true. Now I know you're all yelling at me, it's 10, let's go to the next one. I actually don't care whether you can get the answer or not. For once, I really care that you're showing your work. And the reason why is these questions get really hard. And if you don't learn how to show the work in the proper way, you're not going to be able to solve the difficult ones. So great, you all know the answer is 10, I'm happy for you, but I want to show you how the steps work. So the goal, you want to isolate the variable. The variable is m, and you want to get it by itself. So which number down here is a problem? The problem number is the -2, this takeaway 2. That's a problem because it's on the same side as the m. We want to get rid of that takeaway 2. The 8's great. It's on the opposite side. We want all the numbers, all the constants on the other side. But this -2 is a problem. We want to get rid of it. So how do we do that? Well, we do the opposite operation. It says takeaway 2, so we're going to do the opposite. The opposite of takeaway is add. We're going to add 2. That'll now get rid of that. But wait a minute, there's another rule. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. If you just do this, you've just unbalanced the whole equation. That's not fair. But if I add 2 to both sides, it stays balanced. Okay, so I'll expect you to show this. And then, what's left? On this side, I still have an m. -2 plus 2. That just equals 0. Don't put plus 0. If it's 0, there's nothing there. It's gone. Great. only thing we have on this side is m. That's what we wanted. We isolated the variable. On this side, 8 plus 2 equals 10. We are finished. There's your answer. Not sure if you got it right? You know what you can do? Substitute in. Put this 10 right here. 10 minus 2 is 8. We definitely got it right. All right, next one. We want to get the m by itself. What's the problem number? The problem number is the plus 5, right? We want to get rid of that. So we do the opposite operation. Since it's plus 5, we subtract 5. What we do to one side, we also have to do to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, what's left? Well, we still have our m. These cancel. Plus 5, negative 5 equals 0. That's gone. So the only thing we have left is negative 2 take away 5. Oh gosh, everyone, it's integers. They've reared their ugly head again. You got to figure out what negative 2 take away 5 is. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but remember my advice is to add the opposite. Negative 2 plus negative 5. You have 2 negatives. You have 5 more negatives. Is that 5? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You now have 7 negatives. So negative 7 should be your answer. Negative 7 is your answer. Okay, we're moving along here. Letters on the other side. Who cares? Doesn't make a difference. We want this letter all by itself. What's the problem? Number. This is the problem because we want the letter all by itself. We want to isolate that variable. So we got to get rid of the minus 2. How do we do it? Do the opposite operations. The opposite of take away 2 is plus 2. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Okay, I'll start over here. This is gone. That was canceled. You have an x. It's all isolated. That's perfect. You just have to think of what's negative 6 plus 2. Well, what do you have more of, negatives or positives? You have more negatives. And how many more you got? 4. If you're having troubles with the integer operations, talk to me. But I'm not going to go through it all here in much detail. All right, next one. We want the n by itself. So what's the problem here? This negative 4. Now, I know that's a negative 4, but you have to get used to thinking of a negative as being take away, and a positive is also being plus. So this is negative 4. To get rid of it, the opposite operation from negative 4 or take away 4 is plus 4. We got to add 4 to both sides. Don't put plus 4 here. That'd be adding 8 to the left-hand side. That's wrong. We got to add plus 4 to the left side over here, and plus 4 to the other side of the equal sign in order to keep it balanced. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Gone. We canceled it. Excellent. We're still left with n plus n or positive n or just n. And negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. You have more positives and you have 2 more. So there's your answer. All right. Next, we want the w all by itself. What's the problem here? The problem is the 3. We got to get rid of that 3. I don't see any sign in front of that 3. It is a plus 3. Don't look here. Don't look while it's adding. No, you actually have to actually look in front. And this is a positive 3. So in order to get rid of it, you need to subtract 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So over on this side, we have our w. These cancel. And over here, negative 12 take away 3. Uh-oh, another hard one. Negative 12 take away 3. I would prefer to add the opposite. So negative 12 plus negative 3, that's 12 negatives and 3 more negatives. That's a lot of negatives. It's negative 15. Hey, I should have mentioned before, whether you read it like this, or if you decide, I like always having the letter first. I have to admit, I kind of do like always having the letter first. It doesn't matter. They're both equally as correct. All right, a little bit different here now. We want to get the k all by itself. What's the problem number? The 4 is the problem. Now, what's that 4 doing to the k here? It's multiplying. This is 4 times k. So what we have to do is we have to divide by 4. And what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. Okay? 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we still have 1k. But wait a minute. 1k? If we just have 1k, that's exactly the same as k. Did you know this? Maybe I should have done this in more detail. K has an imaginary and invisible coefficient or number in front of it. It's 1. Right? If it just says k, it means 1k. This is perfect. This is what we want. We want to just have k. On the other side, negative 24 divided by 4. Well, this is a negative divided by a positive, which makes a negative. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. So there's our answer. Not sure if you got it right? You can always plug in 4 times k, and k is negative 6. What's 4 times negative 6? Negative 24. We got it. Okay, next. Negative 3m equals negative 18. Okay, here's one of the biggest problems, so watch carefully on this one. We want to get the m by itself, so this is the problem right here, the negative 3. Now, what's this negative 3 doing to the m? It's multiplying. So the first mistake a lot of people do is they see this negative and they think, oh, I must add 3 to both sides. But no, this is negative 3 times. The operation is timesing here. You're multiplying. So you actually are not going to add 3. You have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So you're going to divide. Now, here's the second mistake people make. They say, oh, I remember you always do the opposite, so I'll divide by 3. No, that won't work, because then you can't cancel it out. If they're not exactly the same, you can't cancel it out. Negative 3 divided by 3 doesn't equal 1. It equals negative 1. You don't want to be left with this. Ugh, that looks ugly. But if we divide by the exact same thing, negative 3, then you can cancel them out. So do the same thing on the other side. Divide by negative 3. Those negative 3's cancel. That's what we wanted. We're left with m equals, negative divided by negative is a positive, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay, 18y equals 0. So we want to get the y by itself. We want to get rid of the 18. What's this 18 doing to the y? It's multiplying. So we do the opposite. We divide. Divide by exactly this. We want to be able to get rid of it. So divide by 18. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. People get all nervous when they see zeros, but it still works. These 18's cancel. You get y. 0 divided by 18. 0 divided by anything is 0. I know you're nervous. You don't know if it's right. Try it. 18 times 0 is 0. We got it right. Okay, next. We want to get the f by itself. So the problem is this 3 right here. How do we get rid of that 3? Well, what's the 3 doing to the f? It's dividing. This line right here means division. So we have to do the opposite. We have to multiply. Now, you've got a choice when you multiply here. You can either write the multiply down here on both sides, which I often do in grade 8, but I think maybe I'm going to start switching. I do switch eventually, like in grade 10. I'm going to start putting the 3 up here. 3 times, maybe I'll just use a dot, and there as well. Why do I do that? Because I think it makes more sense when I do the canceling out here. Because it's ninja slicing. You have 1 3 on the top, you have 1 on the bottom, so you cancel them out. Remember, this is 3 or 3 over 1. So I can definitely ninja slice here. Boom, boom. Perfect. All I have left on this side now is f. On the other side, I have negative 20 times 3. A negative times a positive is negative, and 20 times 3 is 60. Again, not sure if it's right? Try plugging it in. Negative 60 divided by 3 is negative 20. I got it right. Alright, the last one here. We want to get the z by itself. The problem is this negative 6. So since this is division, I want to do multiplication. So what should I be multiplying by? Well, you might think you multiply by 6, but then you can't ninja slice them, right? I mean, you can, but you can't ninja slice them completely. We want to completely get rid of the negative 6. So you need to multiply by negative 6. That way you can actually get rid of it. What you do to one side, do to the other side. So negative 6 times 5. These can now cancel out completely, which leaves you with just z on the right-hand side. Perfect. And on the other side, you have a negative times a positive, which is negative, and 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, a couple word problems to finish off. These are just the same thing, but rather than giving you the equation, you have to figure out the equation. So it says, increasing a number by 4 yields 10. Yields, oh my gosh. Believe it or not, yields is a way of saying equals. So equals 10. Why don't I write that down first? Equals 10. Then I got to figure out how to do increasing a number by 4. What do you want to call the number? Doesn't matter. I'll call it m. So I want to increase that number by 4. It doesn't mean 4 times more. It just means increasing it by 4. If I increase your age by 4, I just add 4 years onto your age. So this is your equation right here. M plus 4 equals 10. And what's our goal? To get this m by itself. This plus 4 is a problem. So what are we going to do? We're going to subtract 4. What we do to one side, we do to the other. M, this cancels out, equals 10 minus 4 is 6. Last one. Twice a number is negative 8. Twice a number means 2 times a number. But remember, don't write this. I'll call the number n this time. Don't write that. No. Don't even write this. No. You'll write 2n. That's twice a number. 2 times a number. Just put 2n. is, or equals, -8. So this is what you need to solve right here. Alright, we want to get the n by itself. The problem is this 2. So we got to get rid of that. This is 2 times n, so do the opposite operation. Opposite of times is divide. What do you divide by? Exactly this, so I can cancel it out. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. You're left with n on this side, and on this side, -8 divided by 2. Negative divided by positive is a negative. 8 divided by 2 is 4. There you go. That's the first step of solving algebraic equations. Next time we'll do questions with 2 steps. Good luck, everyone.